I'm Brandon Kennedy, driver of the GP35 TKO Racing TM Special. This is Chasin Tails.
Out there on the water, you can stand up a little bit.
All right, start today's show. We're gonna get to know our hosts a little bit, so you guys can learn a little bit about the guys that are gonna be talking about boat racing all summer. So start with you, Bob. What's your favorite NFL team?
Favorite NFL team has to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's what I root for. Lions too.
How about team? Tampa.
Mine's Tampa.
Go with the Lions.
Yeah, definitely the Lions. Big year for the boys.
Yeah.
Hopefully repeat it. I think all three teams got a pretty good shot next year. I mean, Tampa obviously had a big upcoming year, and then Steelers are always going to be competitive, even when they shouldn't be. They're competitive.
For sure.
Bring in Russell Wilson and
Justin Fields.
Fields.
I'd like to imagine that Justin Fields is going to take that spot.
I think so too.
But we'll see.
But hey, at least we get to see Sierra on the TV a little bit.
All right. So, what about college football team?
I gotta say, U of M, go blue,
Yeah,
national
go blue.
champs.
Go blue.
There you go.
Another big year.
Yeah. Michigan
Finish
was
it up.
dominating. I got to say, just because brother-in-law's on the team, Clemson. Before that, I'd have to say Florida Gators.
Clemson. Florida Gators.
I was going to be a little scared if you didn't go with Clemson.
Clemson had a little bit of a weird year. Like, I feel like they were way better than they played, like than their record ended up being, and obviously your record's a pretty big deal in college football.
Yeah, they just lost the turnover margin almost every game. If they lost that turnover margin, they lost the game.
I never watched a Clemson game. I never watched a Clemson game until Robert Gunn III started playing for them. And it's pretty cool to watch a game and see someone you know out in the field.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
They just played their spring game this weekend, Clemson versus Clemson, and did pretty good. Both quarterbacks. There's going to be a little quarterback drama, I think, going on there. And Robert did a good kick, and he hit one from 55 in the game situation, so that was pretty good. So
There you go.
Exciting year for him.
I'll just put it out there. The Pittsburgh Steelers coach went up to Robert Gunn and shook his hand and said, "I'll see you in a few years." So hey, he can be wearing that black and yellow.
You never know.
Very cool. All right, last one. Favorite racer outside of boat racing?
Brandon, you go first on this one. I got to think about
I
it.
don't know, man. It's hard because so many different race series, but I feel like more in the NASCAR these days, and I'd have to go with young boy William Byron. He's doing awesome. I mean, what a story coming from the sim leagues and all that, and now in one of the top Hendrick cars and just whooping everybody. I mean, he's got 3 wins.
He only started actually racing cars, 10 years ago?
Yeah,
maybe not even?
I think it was like 10 years ago. Yeah, I think he was like
that's
16
wild.
or something.
That just proves
Unheard of.
that just goes to show how much a simulator can help you out for the real world. I mean,
Definitely.
not a lot of people know. Give a shout out to HydroSim. If you don't know, there's a HydroSim out there for hydroplanes that has GPs and unlimiteds, and it's pretty realistic. K-boats now, they're coming out with 2.5 stocks, and hopefully Jersey Speeds gifts. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would.
If you don't know how to get hooked up with HydroSim, message us. We'll get you in there. You need a steering wheel. Download Discord, and then we'll get you all the right information to get started. But it's pretty cool, really realistic. So if you've never had a chance to drive a real boat, but want to kind of see what it's like, get hooked up with HydroSim, and we'll get you rolling.
Live your dreams of doing a couple laps at Valleyfield.
We get that question a lot. Like, how do you practice your starts? And I've always said I do it driving down the highway. I'll see a sign and start counting down. But
Right.
I know a lot of you guys are on
I've
the
done
Hydro
that.
Sim a lot, and
Oh, yeah.
Eddie Camfouche and a lot of them other guys that that's a good way to practice your starts because it's still time.
Grant Liddycoat.
Buoy distances.
That's what I'll be
and
doing before Tonawanda this year.
There you go.
It's
not gonna be the same, but-
it's not perfect. But like it will get you in the ballpark
Yeah.
and give you good visual cues, things like that.
Bob, you proved it at Gunnersville a couple years ago.
Yeah, my timing
You-
run, I had it from entrance pin to turn 2 to the starting line, going a certain speed. I had 19 seconds and on Hydro Sim, and then so I tried it in real life, and it was 19 seconds and nailed the start, and it worked. It was
Shows
pretty
you how
cool.
realistic it is. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The blowouts
What about you,
don't
Brandon?
hurt near as much.
So I have to say, my favorite driver has to be Max Verstappen. Red Bull F1. The dude is elite. He is on top of his game.
Can't lose.
No one can touch him. No one can touch him right now. But you just hear other drivers talk about how he sets up a car, and it's just he's on another level that no one's going to catch him for
There
a
were
while.
some cool radio messages from or radio calls. I think Leclerc was like, or no, it was Hamilton. He was like, "Where is that second and a half or half second? Like where is he find that?" I think Leclerc was like, "That's the best I can do." Like basically just like we can't touch that. I think like maybe Lando said something was just like, okay, like
I mean, it goes back to the Sims. I know I just read an article that he got like a really nice sim installed on his like $36 million private jet
Yeah,
because he's bored and wants to keep racing. And
you know, he when he's not dominating and he's in the field, he drives with attitude, and that's what I like.
Yeah.
Just like Kyle
Oh, yeah.
Busch in NASCAR. Kyle Busch drives with an attitude, and I like watching
The
Kyle
year-
Busch because it's exciting.
the year he won his first championship, or even the year before, those 2 seasons of F1 were insane. Watching him and Lewis battle was awesome.
Yeah. All right. What about you guys?
Same F1. I'm gonna have to go with the Honey Badger, Danny Rick. He's just it's Danny Rick.
he's a likable guy.
He might have not had a seat recently.
Danny Ricciardo.
got one again,
Might be
but
losing his seat.
he might be losing.
Yeah, he's going to lose his seat.
cares?
Yuki,
He is a
did you see
legend.
Yuki light it up in Japan?
Oh yeah, Yuki was showing off for the fans. He got some motivation this weekend.
He was on fire. It was awesome.
I'm gonna go out on a limb just to throw a new one out there. I just watched the 100 Days to Indy. I like Pato Award.
Okay. A little IndyCar.
Kind of fiery. I watched there's a clip where he kind of dive bombs Scott Dixon a little bit, I think at St. Pete. And he did, but he also had the best comeback. He's like, you know what? The problem is Scott didn't see me. That's not my fault. And I was like, damn. All right.
Exactly.
I was like, that's kind of. I mean, it was questionable. I'll give it to Scott, but I do also think Scott didn't see him, and he's just Pato he sends it.
Is that what you said to Garrett in Valleyfield?
That's exactly. Yeah.
You didn't see me.
Yeah. But you felt me.
But you felt me.
Oh yeah.
Hey, he's a good IndyCar driver. IndyCar's going to be intense this year. I mean,
IndyCars, I feel
a lot of
like
good
growing.
drivers.
Definitely.
But
You
got
see it a
that-
lot more and more.
what's
You
it,
know why I like
Alex-
IndyCar?
Alex Kirkwood.
Or no, Pillow. That's been dominating. I mean, dude's
Oh,
just
Alex
like
Pillow.
Iceman. Nothing.
Yeah.
They did that challenge, that thermal challenge, and he's just out there cruising to like a 20-second win for $1 million. That's crazy.
You know what's cool about IndyCar? You know what's cool about IndyCar is they're so evenly matched that it comes down
Yeah.
to driver. Unlike
There's so much racing throughout the race.
unlike F1, there's so much different from each car. From each car to each weekend, the car changes. And IndyCar, you're pretty much, you get a couple adjustments, but it's not like F1. So you're pretty much all racing on the same level. Just like I believe every stock class should be in boat racing. I mean,
Agreed.
yeah, the boats are close to the same, but let's keep these engines stock. Let's make these engines all the same.
No
That's
doubt.
how
Make it a
should
driver's class.
Yeah, make it a driver's class, not who has the highest tech in their boat to or a secret that they found that makes their boat pick up 10, 15 more horsepower than anyone else. I mean, let's keep this stock. Let's get stock classes back to stock. Let's run the same fuel. Let's run the same engine. Nothing adjusted in it. Nothing changed in it. Let's go. Let's put it back in the driver's hands, because a lot of stock classes are running away where it's not really a driver anymore. It's it's what boat you have, what engine. But let's start with getting these engines back to stock.
I love that about racing my grandpa's car. Everything was spec. I mean, nothing you could change except for maybe some caster camber, so that'd be like us changing propellers or gears if we have gearboxes. It just came down to the driver and a little bit of setup. I mean, no matter what, you're still gonna have little changes, but you take all that element of, oh, this guy's spending 10 grand on a motor, so let me go spend 10 grand too, because I got to keep up with him. When your $4,000 motor was probably just as good, but that element of unknown kills you.
Yep.
That was
100%.
That was the interesting part for me as a rookie this year. Obviously Hydro Sim prepared me a little bit for the racing, but F1 racing on the F1 simulator, like over the course of, let's say, a 15-lap race, like we race, you make one mistake and it's like there are now 3 cars that you can't touch. You can't get to them. And even in boat racing, like you go into the first turn and hook it, or even not that, like just completely lose speed. Like you're not going to be able to run down the boats in front of you. Your top available positions now, maybe let's say third.
It's like that in GP. I mean, if you're going down the straightaway and you get light and you have to feather it a little bit, you can watch that boat on your inside or outside that you're running with just pull away 2 or 3 boat lengths, or catch you by 2 or 3 boat lengths, and you just burped it a little bit. I mean, so that's in not just 2.5. That goes for all the classes.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's all about setup. All about setup.
I mean,
setup and driver.
In my early years at GP, that's where I could make up the most ground, as I wasn't afraid to stuff it in there. I knew my boat was going to turn, and I mean, Bert,
that Como
there
was
a lot of times Burton, the Steeler, had more horsepower or whatever, better propeller combination, who knows, but they'd walk me down the straightaway, and I'd stuff it in there and make up 6-7 boat lengths. But I mean, nowadays that making up 6-7 boat lengths is gone, because everybody's stuff's starting to handle better. I think Scott Kropfeld's working on too many people's boats.
Was it the 2015 GP final with you and Bert in the Coma?
Oh yeah.
That's like prime example of what you're just saying. Like if you watch the one view, I think from the point, like you can see the amount of ground he was making up on the straights, but it would evaporate in the turns.
Yeah.
And I think that race probably came down to what, about 10 feet, 8 feet, something like that.
I think actually 2014. But yeah, it was
2014.
I think I lost by 6 feet, and
6 feet. Yeah.
One, I know in the first lap he hit a hole and fell back, and then the next time we went into turn 2, I hit the same hole and he got right back to me. It was most intense. I've never enjoyed losing so much. I would have rather won, but what a cool final to be a part of.
It was a good battle. It was pretty awesome.
That was my first time watching any boat race of any kind on the point at Valleyfield, and I don't think you could have gotten a better boat race.
No doubt.
It just started to rain.
Watching racing on the point at Valleyfield, if everyone doesn't know what we're talking about, the point is connected to the campground at Valleyfield, and it is I would say a different culture. It is wild, and it is pretty cool to go experience. If you always watch from the grandstands of Valleyfield, try to migrate over to that point just for a couple hours. It's pretty.
It's a whole different view over there. You just get those boats coming straight out of the turn. They drive directly at you, going over 100 miles an hour, and it's a little freaky when they start to come unhooked a little bit. You're like, are they going to turn?
Oh yeah, I just posted that. Kyle actually was our videographer for TKO Racing back then, and we came through there 3 wide in a Grand Prix, and Monahan had to go out of bounds because just ran out of room, and out of bounds there is about 10 foot off the shore, so I'm pretty sure you get a spray.
you could see
he puckered a little bit.
Just up here.
You can see the nerves.
He needed a new driving suit after that one, man.
Yeah, when you can see the driver's eyes, they're a little close.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was a cool experience though. So I guess we'll start with our boat. just got back to Delaware, I believe, today, right? Brandon went and picked it up.
Yeah, I went down to the TKO South, and Cool Cat Motorsports picked it up from Eddie. I did a fantastic job painting it. It's a lot of work, a lot more than we all anticipated, but it turned out great. I was taking a look at Bobby's boat, put a little cutter to it, and made some header adjustments to it. So, cutting up on the competition's boat already, but we'll put it back together. So, yeah, we got it back, started throwing some hardware on it. Seems like it'll come together smooth, but you never know what that one hiccup's going to be when you're building a brand new boat. So our fingers are crossed. We're not guaranteeing anything, but it'll be at a race. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're
it'll be wet.
Yep.
You mean it doesn't take 3 or 4 years to put a boat together to come out and race?
No, not our quality of shop.
I will say I had no doubt in my mind when I got that picture that you already had the motor in sitting in there. There's strut, skid fin, rudder, everything already glued on. Just you guys are machines.
Dad's allergic to epoxy, so we're gluing all the strut and all that hardware on. I was like, looks like you're popping a Benadryl tonight because we're moving here.
We're going. No, you guys have been awesome. We will never be able to thank you guys enough for all the work you've done to that boat.
Big time.
Even last year's boat too.
I mean, they do it to my boat. I mean,
every boat, other teams' boats,
other team boats. I mean, they always have a boat in that shop, whether it's theirs, whether it's, competition.
Shoot, it was our
competition has been in there a lot of times.
They just had our boat that we just got rid of from last year in the shop.
Woody
3 days ago.
Yeah, Woody Plescott out of Cambridge. I mean, he is fired up. Here's a guy that's been around racing for a long time. He's supported the Cambridge race for a long time with his company down there in Cambridge, and he got there. He's just excited. You can tell, just fired up.
Yeah,
we put some
awesome.
skid fin hardware back on it. Gave him some upgrades. Put the motor in, got the shaft aligned, all that good stuff, and now it's down there. He's getting it buffed and getting a wrap put on it and doing all the wiring. He's planning on testing, I think, by the 20th. He's gonna try to do 2 to 3 weekends in Cambridge, do some private testing, get his feet wet, get a little more experience before he goes into Edgewood and no actual competition racing.
He's planning on driving it. I remember hearing maybe one of his kids or his grandkids were gonna drive it.
Yeah, he's planning on driving. He's excited. I think his his grandfather drove before, or his dad. Can't remember for sure, but he's
okay.
Like I said, he's been around it, chomping at the bit, and this opportunity presented himself. He's in a good spot in his business and life, and his family's behind him too. His daughter's
awesome.
I think high school, does dance, and so he's been flying around and doing dancing with her, and now she's gonna have to watch him do dancing in a hydroplane.
That's pretty cool. It's awesome to get some. I mean, he's not young, but he's still new blood. So it's
new
cool
old
to
blood.
get some new old blood back in the sport. He's been out for a while. The sport's growing once again, so that's pretty exciting.
All right, so I think first boat we got some updates from the E80 Geronimo Racing out in, I believe, New Jersey, right?
Yep.
Or
Georgia
Now. Yeah.
Georgia,
New Jersey.
They're nowhere near.
Jay still lives in Jay Brennan still lives in New Jersey.
Jersey.
Gotcha.
And then
his daughter and Kyle live in Georgia.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then John and his wife live up here.
Yeah.
In Michigan. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
I think
pretty cool watching their updates, seeing the kids involved and everyone involved, family. It's one of them boats that's been around for a long time, and the family's always been a part of it. Back when Mark Johnson drove it, and it's cool to see him get back now. Kyle driving the boat. That's pretty neat to be a husband married into this sport, and he's getting his opportunity. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. Jay built that boat, I believe. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Does that boat have any correlation to the old Mr. Bud? I think it was a 2.5 mod. I think you guys all got to drive. I don't know. They got
same cockpit. Same cockpit.
Okay.
Same cockpit, and I believe it's a Stahlrecker design.
Yeah, Stahlrecker design.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I do have to talk about it in case he listens to this. I had the pleasure of doing Kyle's radios last year in Lake Apacon as he blew a hole in the boat and he wasn't so sure that he blew a bolt hole in the boat first, and he pulled off the course. And he asked me, he's like, "Can I drive it in if I can start the boat?" And I'm like, "There's no reason you can't. Like, they'd probably prefer that, so they don't have to tow." The next thing I heard is, "I think I'm sinking," and then I just heard, "Yeah, she's gone."
There's a picture of him sitting in the boat, and the boat's pretty much almost
it's-
under,
yeah,
and he's
yeah.
still sitting in there. It's like, man, that
No.
captain's going down with his ship.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's awesome.
Now they got that boat fixed that night. Filled it with like 80 pool noodles. We did not believe it. They bought the entire display of pool noodles and filled the decks of that boat. And it ran.
It ran.
Nice.
It ran.
Didn't sink for sure.
Next boat, actually, one Austin's got some history with. We got Justin Burnett, I believe it's the T223, putting on some new decks as well out on the West Coast. Be part of that fairly growing T class out on the West Coast.
Yeah, it is
was-
awesome.
It's kind of
There's,
wild how it's flip-flopped coast. We used to have a lot out here. Now we have a lot
Yeah.
out there, but it's really cool for them to get that experience.
Yeah.
The young kids out there.
Basically, all the boats flipped coasts, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, this boat.
Ed Thompson's just went out there. The TM Special T35 just was bought over the winter, and it's out there now. The cool thing is there's 8 T boats that are going to get wet on the West Coast this year, and you know, most of the drivers are 18 and under. You have one that's a little
huge.
older, like 21, I think she is. But that's awesome because that means you have new blood or generational blood getting in boats, getting out there, seeing what it's like, getting the taste of speed on the water. And I'm so excited to watch videos of these kids out there racing over the summer. It's
Already been
a
some
great
good ones
class.
the last couple of years too.
It's a great class for these beginner drivers.
I think the reason I'm looking forward to it, I mean, that many young people around the same age all racing in a class, especially the T-boat class, makes me think back to you guys back in the day. You, John Shaw, Alexis Weber, all you guys every weekend battling and out. I mean, that was a competitive class, and you guys all grew up throughout the ranks. So it's going to happen out there too, and it'll be cool to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. It's pretty
seems
cool.
like it started there. I mean, think of our generation, how many got to get to Grand Prix or even Jimmy Shane and Unlimited. I mean, all started somewhere. I mean, a lot of these 9-year-olds starting in J-Stock outboards. I know this is an inboard podcast, but gotta start somewhere. I wish you could be 5 and starting a J-Stock. I'd put my kid in it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, you know, I wish all those T-boat drivers out west good luck this year and go have some fun because that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Next up.
Next boat, we got, I believe, E3.
I believe so. There's 2 of them.
Or
I think the other one's the 20, right?
Yeah, I think one's 20, one's 30.
I think the other one's the 20.
Yeah, this is a boat that Justin Weymouth bought off of Steve Huff and originally was built by Wally Johnston. So it's pretty cool to see that boat still around. It's always been a quick boat. So
yeah,
it's an awesome
take a look
design.
at that thing. I mean, it's off the wall designing. I mean,
yep.
Waterford a few years back, he broke the record. Then next heat out, Kemp broke the record, and then I never broke a record, but I went out there and beat them all in the nationals. So take that.
No, that's definitely a good boat, and I believe Jeff Bernard's driving that one, and I think Kip Brown is driving the other one. So they it goes back a little ways. I want to say 09, 08, 09. Kip Brown and Jeff Bernard were teamed up in the same 5-liter sharing the ride, and they were definitely fast together. So them being on the same team with 2 different boats, it's going to be a real good show out there in the 350 class.
Definitely a lot of knowledge between the 2 of them, and I mean composite knowledge too. Watching Kip Brown with KB Marine now, and watching how many people he helps out west with a lot of boat repairs.
Tons.
So that's really cool to see. I mean, like you say, this whole sport's a family, and I mean, you got to have someone to help you out. And seems like he's always got his hand in somebody's boat, helping him.
Yeah, his daughter is racing T class too, so that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet she.
Chilling.
And Jeff's niece.
In the
Couple
water race this year.
times.
Yeah, and Jeff's niece is racing T boat, so that's pretty cool. It's
Yeah.
pretty awesome
Yeah.
out west.
That was awesome. All right, we'll go next. So I don't know much about this boat or the guy racing, so I'm gonna defer to you guys on this one.
He's been around for a while. I believe this is his second boat. The guy stays hard at it. He's passionate for the sport. And that I don't know much about the haul,
Man,
but it's an awesome looking boat.
This
Yeah,
boat
it's cool.
This boat's been around for a while. Dad and I were just talking about this one the other day. I really believe this was Annie Fitzgerald's Auld 5-liter from back in the day.
Really?
I seen pictures of it, and then the guy that had it previously built his own cockpit and put the cockpit in it. And looks like they've modified a lot of things to make it more Jones style for the West Coast. But I'm pretty sure somebody could fact check us on that. Love to see some comments and maybe find out a little bit more history on this boat. But I seen this one pop up on Facebook, and man, that paint job is awesome. I just love
Yeah,
the colors.
yeah.
It's gonna look
That's
great
that's
on the water.
it's sweet.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm excited to see the finished product, and it'll be cool.
Go give Jarvis Motorsports a follow. Check out their page. Keep up with their journey this year. And then I think this will be the last one today. We obviously got a lot of updates to make, but we gotta keep them limited per week. This is the S74. I believe it was. Actually, I know it was blue and red last year, so pretty cool looking paint job they got going on this year. You know, they'll be looking to come out strong in the 2.5 class up in Valleyfield. It'll be fun to race against them again this year. Had a couple good little duels with them throughout.
Now, who's driving this boat?
Matthew Brown.
Matthew Brown. Yep.
Nope. Had a little bit of a spill last race of the year in Bahornwall, but I don't think I believe they came back and raced that weekend. So obviously not too much damage. I believe Matthew was relatively uninjured on that one. So
Yeah, and this boat just
should be another strong year.
This boat just spent some time at Henderson Hydroplanes getting some updated sponsons. So, I mean, it's another boat that's been around for a long time. I mean, it set records when it was out west with Scott Myers, and I think it was, again, seems like a topic tonight, it was originally
And
Fitzgerald's boat. So, you know, back in the 90s.
She's fast in that boat, too.
This boat's still out there kicking butt. Shows you that hydroplanes don't grow old as long as they're treated right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Some of them do.
All right, so we'd like to thank our presenting series in our Chasin Tails podcast. We had a lot of people help us out getting this started, starting with APBA Inboard. That is the whole entire U.S. and into Canada that has boat races from Yelm, Washington, out here to Edgewood, Maryland, down to Lakeland, Florida, and then California as well. APBA has been around for over 100 years. Very popular. They have organization bodies and offshore, unlimited. I think they still do them, but APBA Inboard's growing. They're doing a lot of nice things. I think, Bobby, there's some things you were talking about the other day about some series about to happen or renovation of a series. A lot of stuff going on in APBA Inboard. There's not ownership change, but personnel change to try to bring it up to this century and see what kind of improvements they can have.
Yeah, it's all about keeping up with times, and I think with our new inboard chairman Timmy Collins, I think he's pushing to make some good changes for the inboard category, and it's gonna be good. So we'll see what he can do, and I think we're all willing to lend a hand, and if he needs any help, and get it going.
Absolutely.
APBA is an awesome body. They it's all volunteers. Every crew at every race, from refs to just people around the pits helping out. It's always helpful. Everyone's super nice, and they want everyone to just have fun and succeed and be safe.
Absolutely.
So our next one that helped out getting our start is Grand Prix America. They've been called different things over the year, but Grand Prix America is now their name, and we've seen a big influx in their marketing campaigns with the races we go to, having tents there, selling merchandise, and they've had a lot of growth. And I think we've had good success with them. Mixing HRL and GPA is going to be great for the sport of Grand Prix, and just excited for the future. I mean, I think each of these organizations, things are heading in the positive direction, and we look forward to watching the journey.
Yeah, Dean
For
Rojas
sure.
is doing a good job with the series. He's promoting it well. He's getting us out there. Um, so hopefully you can keep the momentum rolling.
All right. So the last one that helped us out with our series is the Hydroplane Racing League. HRL was ACHA before, but they are, I would say, the premier league in hydroplane racing. Now they're under APBA's banner as well for insurance purposes and just holding their sanctions. But they have a show. I mean, there's so many 350s, 2.5s, Formula 2500s, Grand Prix. The show just goes nonstop. I mean, it's intense. I love going to these events just to watch. Obviously, love being a part of them. The race as well. The competition is insane. I couldn't tell you what class is the best competition because I think every weekend it changes. But
It's all stout.
yeah,
It's
you're
all stout.
always on the shore wanting to watch every final you can. So it's definitely a place to watch. And what's cool this year is they're gonna have live stream at every single event. That was breaking news.
That's
in a
awesome.
Big
Meeting
time.
meeting last night, and it's
It's
exciting.
huge.
They're gonna do it just like H1 Unlimited. They're gonna have a drone, GoPro. They're really gonna take a step forward on how to do a live stream this year.
Yeah, give a shout out to
That's awesome.
Montworks. He's working with them, doing a great job promoting the HRL. But yeah, HRL brings the competition. I mean,
They do.
every single team in HRL is just they're good. They're pushing the limits in each class, each boat, all the drivers. A lot of drivers, well rounded. I mean, it's great competition in 2.5, the F class, the 350, the GP. Every
Skiff.
heat, skiff. Every heat is worth watching if you get a minute from working on your own boat to look over it because it's always going to be a sight to see.
Yeah, it's almost frustrating sometimes, like having to work on the boat because like you hear a heat starting and it's like you want to watch, you want to see what happens at least for a couple laps, see what goes down, and there's always stuff going on. Like I said last episode, like so many people missed that bull shark blowover at Tonawanda because everybody's got things going on, but like it's just there's a battle going on, whether it's for first or fourth. Every heat there's a battle going on.
Could you imagine Jeff Ayler having to announce a whole day of HRL?
He'd lose his voice.
That would be wild.
Oh man,
We would have to have John Tomey on standby, Brad Luce on standby. We would probably just rifle through them. One voice would go down, bring the next on. One voice would go down, bring the next on.
I mean, because it's so exciting the whole day. There's virtually no downtime.
Yeah.
There's never.
Which is impressive, very impressive. HRL knows how to get heats off. They know how to keep the show on the water. They provide a good show, and it's definitely good to be a part of. So, GPA and HRL coming together, lights out, lights out.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of competition is ridiculous. It's the best as history has ever had is this coming year with this 3-race series: Guntersville, Madison, and Valleyfield.
And Brock.
And Brockville, Guntersville, Brockville,
Brockville.
same weekend.
Yeah, there
I
was
think-
a little bit of a issue there, but
No, I think they ultimately that was a good compromise, good way to get that series to happen because both are awesome race sites. I've
Yeah.
been to Brockville. Obviously, we'll be at Brockville this year with 2.5 kind of away from the team, and I'm excited to go back there. I've always loved the racing there. Obviously, the course is a little rough, but like you said last episode, like give me rough water any day. That brings out the fun race, and that really brings out the best drivers. And big difference Brockville versus Guntersville, but I think both bring their aspects in a positive way, and it would be be cool to see how those two race weekends turn out this year. It would be cool having GP events going on at 2 different locations.
Yeah.
Unlimited's going on that weekend, 350 events going on, 350 Pro Lights. It would be a lot of content that weekend, I think.
I'm excited to see Gunnersville from a different view this year, with being involved with Alex Manga and his 350 and seeing what that side of the pits actually looks like. I've never been over there. Yeah. Be able to watch races without binoculars.
If you can get across the bridge.
It will. Yeah, I'm just going to keep beating the nail in the coffin. This series is going to be awesome. So I want to thank HRL and GPA coming together and making this happen, because it's going to be spectacular.
So we'd like to welcome to the Chasin Tails podcast our first ever guest, Tyler Eccles and Kevin Ekrit. Tyler Eccles drives the GP17 Miss Renee. Tell us a little bit about that. You got your feet wet driving that boat last year. Looking forward to having you guys in the GP Challenge and racing with GPA all year. So tell us a little bit about your first time in a Grand Prix.
It was really exciting. I didn't expect to have it happen so quick. First time I stepped on the throttle, it was pretty eye-opening, that's for sure. Boat's fast. Pretty much took my breath away.
Yeah, I know that feeling when I first drove a Grand Prix. It's definitely one of them eye-opening or eyes in the back of your head feeling. No 350, 2.5 stock, anything can prepare you for what you're about to feel when you step on that loud pedal. So it's all about seat time, getting better. So what are you guys looking to improve upon this year? I know you've seen you guys are building new bullets there and heading to the dyno soon, I believe.
Yeah, engines are almost done, so we'll get them on the dyno, and then we'll get them over to our shop and run them on our test stand and kind of get the computer systems figured out a little bit more, familiarize ourselves with it. And basically for this year is just consistency. We'd obviously like to start and finish each heat, make our starts good, and just go out and compete.
So
go ahead, Bob.
You started driving in 2004?
Yeah, I started inboards in 2005 was my rookie year.
2005, okay. Now what class did you start in?
2.5 stock.
2.5 stock?
Yeah,
what other classes have you raced in?
Driven 2.5 stock, 5 liter, a bunch of different outboard classes. I drove a national mod once, and then Grand Prix.
All right, we don't talk about outboards here. This is an inboard podcast. I'm just playing. So what was your favorite class to race in?
I'd definitely say 5 liter. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you guys have all
competitive.
It's very competitive. You got to be on your starts. Got to be clean. And just get that clean water. But it's the power is good. You're reaching pretty good speeds, 120. But the acceleration is different. That's what I wasn't used to when I got into the Grand Prix. Is the time difference of how quick it is. From the time I step on it to the starting line, exit pin to starting line. I'm not used to the under 10-second runs, that's for sure.
Yeah, with the Grand Prix, that starting line comes up pretty fast. Yeah, especially when you get a Valleyfield and you hit the exit pin, and next thing you know, you're at the starting line in 5 seconds.
That's exciting.
So your owner, Brian Richards, he seems pretty enthusiastic about the sport and the Grand Prix class. Tell us a little bit about him.
Brian's a great guy. Our families have been friends for basically probably 20 years now. My dad used to race against Brian in the 5 liter class, and then unlimited lights. He asked Dustin to drive last year. Got a phone call from Brian saying he had bought the 17 from Rick and Sean Bridgman. And he met up with Dustin and I at a bar and basically said, "Hey, I bought it." And we're like, "Oh, cool. Who's going to drive?" And he's like, "Hey, I'd like Dustin, to drive." And he brought me in as the crew chief. And basically, the season went on, and the Grand Prix are pretty physical to drive, and taking a little bit too much time away from the 40 team, Dustin's other team. And so that's when Brian asked me if I wanted to drive the 17. And I had to ask him a few times. I was like, really? Yeah, let's do it.
That's a pretty big commitment to take on, and it's pretty cool that he asked you to drive. So I'm excited to get out in the water with you and have some fun.
Heck yeah.
So
what are you most excited about next year?
I'd say really the whole experience. I haven't been in racing since 2015 was when I last drove a 5-liter. So just getting back in the groove, racing against all you guys, all the big name guys, obviously doing the circuit, and then Valleyfield.
All right, there we go. Yeah. All right, so what's the news? You guys have news? Let's hear it.
I think Kevin should speak on this one.
All right, let's bring Kevin on and hear this big news.
Am I on?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, new news is Brian decided to bring on a second boat. As Tyler was saying, he's a great ambassador for this sport, and he decided to acquire Dean Rojas' Charger boat. So,
Good
coming
stuff.
onto the team to be the Charger, and I will obviously be in the seat wheeling the Charger.
Nice. Now, Kevin, I've heard your name all over. Different classes, unlimited. Tell us some about your driving history.
Well, let's see. I started driving 2.5 stocks back in 2006. From there, I went from 2.5 stock, 2.5 mod, did some 5-liter racing, unlimited lights, GPs, moved into the unlimiteds for a little while, decided to drive a flat bottom for a while. So pretty much fit floats and makes noise. I like to get kind of seat and put my foot down and see what we can do.
I like your style.
It is what it is.
Out all those classes, which one was your favorite?
I do have to say, I believe it's the GP boat. They're just so in your face, so much power. The power to weight ratio with the GP boats is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So how do you guys have you figured out how you're going to do 2 boats, enough crew? Do you have, obviously the big question in GP is engines. How many you guys got? Enough engines for both boats, enough crew? I mean, it not like a 2.5 stock where it can take 2 people to run a boat. So
No, you're absolutely right. Coming into this, we know that Brian was putting one hell of a engine program together for the 17, and we're going to concentrate on the 17. The 17 will be our primary boat this year. We will have an engine program for the Charger boat. You know as well as I do, the Charger is a fast boat. I think we can do a lot with a little less horsepower. And so this year our primary focus is to make sure the 17 is up and running. And we're going to run the 10 as a B and with what we got. And I think she's going to be a team to reckon with, to tell you the truth.
I'm sure with both of your guys' driving history, and everyone knows both boats that you guys have is really quick, so it's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, for sure. I would
It's
like say
super fun year. I'm looking forward to it. Really looking forward to going back east and running back east races, going back to Valleyfield. I ran Valleyfield in 2013. Didn't do bad. I think I finished 5th in the final, which, you know what? Everybody that's ran Valleyfield, if you can say you finished 5th, it's not first, obviously, but I'll hold my head up high on that, especially for my first time ever being out there, So, everybody's got a little bit of something to learn when it comes out to Valleyfield. That's a whole nother race, but hopefully we can get some more East Coast guys out to the West Coast and put you on some of these 1 and 2/3 courses and really turn it on to have some fun.
yeah.
Man, I got to train for those big ones.
That Valleyfield experience in 2013, I don't think they've ever done it since, but we had 7 boats in that final. 5 frontline, 2 trailers. That was the roughest that course has ever been. So you got thrown to the wolves there.
Oh, I did. But you know what? It's an experience you'll never forget, and it's obviously some valuable experience I feel I can bring to the team this year and try to help prepare us to bring 2 boats up to Valleyfield this year.
Yeah. Now let's talk about a little bit of setup differences between Henderson Hall and the Jones Hall. Are you guys looking that you're going to have any challenges there? Obviously, they have a little bit different flight patterns, the way they fly the boats and things like that. You guys prepared for that challenge? Are you doing different propellers for each boat, or how you guys working that?
You know, we're just starting to go through the parts program that came with the 10 boats, so we're still learning that. We had a pretty good grasp on the 17 boat on what we're doing for propellers. Luckily, I've driven Jones boats and the Henderson boats, alt boats, so obviously I was driving the GP18 when it lost the sponson on it with an experimental engine. So I feel I got a little bit of knowledge because they're both completely different boats and it takes completely different setup to make them run. So we'll factor that into play. We'll see how it works. We got some very smart, knowledgeable guys on the crew, especially for when it comes to setting up boats and getting stuff like that going. So hopefully everything will go well and we'll lay knowledge in the guys that we got on the team. And, you know, the 17 had a killer solid team to begin with. I brought in a couple other guys that you'll see back east this year, and with the knowledge of Brian and Brian's willpower to make boat racing what it is, I think it's going to be an excellent year.
Yeah, I definitely think so as well. Seeing your team improve from Gunnersville to the end of the year when you guys were running out west, I mean, just first class. From even in Madison when you guys had me drive, just your eyes on safety, making sure I was safe jumping in the boat I've never driven before. It was really cool. I was glad to be a part of your team for that weekend and look forward to racing you guys out east and who knows, maybe out west.
Yeah, no, last year was a pleasure to be around you, and, you know, even your knowledge around boats and your feedback from getting out of the boat was exceptional. We very much greatly appreciated it, you know, and last year was a hard learning curve for us because, you know, you got the boat kind of late in the season and you didn't have a good time to put together a motor program. So this year he's got 3 stout bullets ready for that 17 boat. And, you know, Tyler's experience behind the wheel, the first couple heats, he's going to have a rude awakening. But once he gets some time under his belt, man, that's going to be a boat to reckon with. By the end of Gunnersville, I'll give him Gunnersville for his learning curve. I think Madison, that boat's going to be right there on the front line.
We definitely expect to see you guys get some heat wins, if not a final win. So,
well, we're hoping. We're going to try. You know, we're going to at least keep everybody on your toes.
Definitely brought the competition so far. So let's go. It's going to be a fun year.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, guys, we appreciate having you on Chasin Tails. We appreciate you allowing us to share the news with the world about your new endeavor with 2 boats. Obviously, our team's done it, so I wish you all the luck in the world, as it is a huge undertaking. Hopefully, you got more than me and just my dad putting them together in the shop and getting them to the races.
Yeah, well, hopefully this year you'll be chasing our tails, and thanks for having us on. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming.
All right, so we established for the GP series we are going to be doing assigned lanes. Lanes for the first heat will be established by the time trials, which obviously is an exciting aspect to the series. Why don't we go ahead and go through our contestants for the GP series this year? Obviously, a lot of people know who's going to be racing, but we got some boats that have came out of the woodworks a little bit. Obviously, some new boats. So let's go ahead and announce our famed contestants for this very anticipated GP series.
Yeah, as you were talking, I glanced over at the list that Kyle put together, the amount of boats we have. There is 16 boats, and we can take a look at it. That's in no particular order. You got myself with the GP35, you with the GP135. You got Andrew Tate, the wild one, in the GP71. Jeff Bernard in the Bad Influence GP79, Jack Lupton in the GP33, Ken Lupton in the 577, Ken Brody in the GP50, Greg Hopp in the GP15, Robin Demir is driving Mario Blaine's boat, the GP757, Eric Longevan with an updated boat driving the GP212, the Blown Income, a GP20 with Ed Preston, the Pleasure Seeker, I don't know if it's GP2 or GP3, I guess Roger will show us when it shows up, with Jimmy King driving the boat. We talked to him tonight, the GP17 with Tyler Eccles, the GP10, brand new announcement tonight of Kevin Ekert and the old Charger. Then you have the GP104 Miss Cleopatra of Mark Lecomte and the GP24 Kraken Dave Musinski. You go through that list, can you name the winner of any?
Nope. Nope, not at all.
Yeah, I would love to see like a FanDuel list of odds on that one.
Yeah, I mean,
that would be.
You never know. Chasin Tails might have to come out with a little betting odds on that.
It's going to be
in the state of Alabama.
It's going to be harder to predict than the NCAA men's final. I mean, you're not going to be able to predict it.
But 16 fast boats, and I mean, like we said the last time, making the final is going to be the feat. I mean, it's going to be insane.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to take it easy on a qualifier. You're going to have to push it because you're going to have to finish first or second in your qualifier to try to make the final.
I think you are going to see some of the gnarliest first turns we've ever seen in GP this year, because I think just in 1 year, and I'm sure you guys probably have experienced as well, like that first turn, you can't necessarily win a race in the first turn, but you can lose a race in the first turn.
No, for sure.
And nobody wants to end a 3 or 4 lap race immediately.
Yeah. When you look at the three race sites have 3 different courses, totally different.
Yeah.
Go to Gunnersville,
Absolutely.
nice smooth. Go to Madison, it's bigger course, mile and a quarter, but whoo, them rollers are huge. And then obviously Valleyfield, if you can stare down the face of turn 2 and come around there to the checkered flag, obviously you're doing something, because that is the most nerve-wracking thing. I don't care if you're doing time trials or in the final. To go down into turn 2 wide open it's the feat.
How's Brockville compared to Valleyfield?
Oh, yeah.
I'd say it's probably wider, right?
Yes.
It's actually narrow. I would say they've tightened the courses up there to try to keep it
okay. I haven't been to Brockville in a few years.
Yeah, they try to keep it out of the
I thought
channel.
it was...
So it's probably
did they?
500-foot turn each turn, and I mean turn 2 there is really tight, and you're hitting a ton of the water coming back there. It's I would say one of the most challenging courses to ever race.
I haven't been back there since 2018, but is that roller still there on that front stretch?
I think we named it the Bobby.
The Bobby.
I'm pretty sure there's still like pieces of yellow just like suspended in the air.
Yeah. They're
30 feet.
They're diving for
I'd
it,
say
and they
that-
think it's gold because it's a huge diving site up there. They think it's gold they found on the shipwreck, but nope, just Bobby's pieces.
Pennzoil.
Just says Pennzoil.
I'd say Brockville and probably Hampton are the 2 courses I'm the most excited about this year.
Hampton.
Obviously,
Oh, there
very
you go.
different
Again,
courses.
2 totally different
but-
courses.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think, like I said earlier, I think that both kind of provide a unique and fun experience. I think Brockville, it's going to be a challenge and almost a physical challenge. If it's, I've heard probably even a step up from Tonawanda, which beat me up pretty good last year. And then Hampton, from my understanding, is just fast.
I've been there in the skiff, and I mean, obviously, totally different ride, but nice long straights, nice arced turns, and I mean, yeah, you gotta watch out for the infamous bridge, but we didn't have to worry about it in the skiff, so I don't think it's real yet.
Man, when you're hanging it down that front stretch at Hampton, just make sure you have the skid fin hooked before you turn.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. I guess we're going to have to put that clip in here, and Greg Isaac get all excited. Tell you
Greg Isaac and
Shouldn't have hung
Kim
it like
from Australia. I guess Kim is in Australia, and he bought Greg Isaac's boat. He gives me crap all the time for flipping his boat. He says his boat. I was like, Kim, you didn't own it. You didn't own it when I was like, Greg owned
That
it.
was a spectacular flip, though.
Hey man, if I can't set the course record, might as well set the height record, right?
Right.
Why not?
No, I think Langevin still got you beat.
Yeah.
No,
Hey,
he had a lot more horsepower.
Yeah, he had about 1,100 more horsepower.
I think talking about the rough water conditions in Brockville, I think one of my favorites was when Carson, my wife, was driving and she had her hair all braided up in the helmet there, and when she came back in, I think she was running T-boat at the time, her hair was out of her braid. I'm like, how does that even happen? That's how much her head is just moving around.
That's gnarly, man. That is gnarly.
Slowly untangling it.
That's wild.
No, Brockville, you have to race that a little different. It's a different animal. So
I just even seen pictures on Facebook this year. I've heard people talk about the parallel rollers, and I remember seeing pictures of boats coming down the front stretch, and you can see, like, at least in what's shown in the frame of the shot, like the water is at two different heights, depths, whatever you want to call it, and that's gonna be interesting.
yeah,
You always get the coolest pictures from Brockville. You might tell your buddies you were hanging it out, but now you were just launching. You're just holding on.
It's a cool town. I'm excited. I mean, I don't know the bands that are coming this year, but from what I've seen from the people up north of the border, it's should be some really good bands. Should be a really good show, and it's gonna suck being away from the team, but it'll be a fun weekend, I think.
Yeah, it's a
festival. Yeah, that whole crew there. You know, you got Steve Armstrong. You got the Hendersons. Yeah, Doug Peterson, a whole bunch of other guys putting it on, and they do a really good job at Brockville. It's definitely a fun weekend. So
yeah, they follow the right mold. I mean, I feel like they learn from Valleyfield. They bring in them bands. You'll see a lot of the guys that put on the event running the beer tent and just have a good time. It's a race put on for racers. They bust their butt for us to go race there. That's what the unfortunate part with having the races split up like they are. So hopefully in the future that can get sorted out and we can all go back to having a big race at Brockville, because it definitely is one of those races that you don't want to miss.
Brockville will never be the same unless.
Next up, we're going to go through some of last year's champions for APBA inboard. Starting out for 1.5 liter stock, we had the T56 Real Deal owned by Steve Wald. And last year it was driven by two different drivers, starting out with Haley Ray or Haley Scarborough. And then towards the end of the season it was taken over by Riley Rashear. Both got good amount of wins in the boat. I mean, obviously there's some good competition in the T class out there and came out on top, so says something for the boat and the drivers.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. She's that's Jeff Bernard's niece. So she has racing in her blood. She comes from Bernard/Weber background. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it would be cool to see. Like you said, that class is growing out there. So it'll be cool to see if they're able to defend their title, or see if any of these other 7 boats can come and give them a good challenge. Next up, we got the S1, driven by Jeff Bernard. Another, I think, a defending national champ, defended his title again this year. It was did really, really well out on the West Coast. I think a couple of bobbles early in the year, and then made up for it pretty well late in the year, bringing it out to the East Coast, and a little bit of Corey Peabody driving later in the year. But obviously a fast boat, cool paint job. Yeah. Good drivers.
Yeah, definitely good drivers. It's pretty cool that they race out west and they come out. I mean, they needed the points to come out, but generally when Jeff Bernard drives 2.5, it pops up on the East Coast. I mean, they like to support the races, so it's pretty cool to see them go back and forth. And I'm pretty sure we'll see this boat fighting for another championship in 2024.
Yeah,
definitely.
Big time. Got the Y. I believe it was the Y41 this year. I think Timmy. I don't know if they were defending national champion again this year, or if Timmy just chose to run the 41. But obviously, a boat with a ton of history. Probably
just look at the side of it.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume probably one of the most dominant boats in APBA inboard history.
For sure, I think
it owns every record but the Kilo.
No, it might own the Kilo too.
I wouldn't doubt it if it did. I think I was talking to Jim, and It does.
Yeah.
Or does Russ Dodge still have that? Oh no, we're gonna have to check the history books on that one.
We'll check. We'll check.
I don't know. I want to say this boat owns all the records.
Yeah, wouldn't doubt it at all.
Definitely the most championships in probably any history of any class. This boat, not owner. You know, Timmy's won 4 or 5. Looks like 4 on the side of the boat. But when Jim Scheckler owned it, I think was it like 8 or 9. It's just
something like that.
Yeah, this boat
just kept winning.
Timmy Collins, he just didn't buy the boat and start going winning. He was with that boat from day one when it was built with Jim Scheckler and Dan Canfouche driving, and that boat is just a freak of nature. I drove it, and it's a fun boat to drive.
I looked it up. Here's what
cool.
we got for the records. That boat owns them all, but with 2 different owners. The quarter mile and the kilo are still owned by Dan Canfouche when Jim Scheckler owned it. He also owns the 1 mile record, at least by the latest updates here on the APBA's website.
Oh man, Dan Canfouche is...
Actually, that must be old because I think they broke the 1 mile record this year down at Lakeland.
They did.
Set it in Lakeland.
Yeah, I'm sure Dan Canfouche is trying to trade in his golf clubs to find a 1 liter mod ride to go get that record back.
I hear he might be driving
his dunk
GP.
test.
Is he driving GP? Can he reach the pedals in Ken Brody's boat? I'm not sure.
I don't know. We made it work with you.
John Blakely will be making some carbon fiber stilts. Don't worry, they will get him in there if he wants to be in there.
Oh, dude.
That team has their hands full. Oh, yeah. Let's go to this one.
You're good.
Next up, 2.5 mod. This boat ran both 2.5 stock and 2.5 mod, but Justin Burnett,
rookie driver,
awesome year for him. Yeah, I mean, we got to fortunately and finally meet Justin down at the national meeting. Great dude, obviously really passionate about boat racing.
Very passionate.
We all year it was funny talking to him because me and Austin, I'm sure we were annoying Brandon and Bob with it. We were sitting there doing our best to calculate points, and APBA wasn't fully updated, and so we're digging through Facebook trying to figure out where heats finished, and it was funny to find out he was doing the exact same thing out there. So it was cool to see that there was a mutual battle going on there, even though we didn't know each other. We weren't directly racing against each other, but he pulled it out there at the end of the year. Some good finishes at the end. I think he went perfect in, want to say Brewster, maybe.
I thought it was Manson.
You're right. Yeah, it might have been Manson, but went perfect that weekend. And obviously, you close out a year going perfect in a tight race battle. It's usually gonna be all you need. And like I said, great dude. Wishing him the best of luck this upcoming year again, and if any luck, get to finally race against him in Decatur if he makes his way out there.
That'd be pretty cool.
Definitely. It's wild that APBA inboard's so strong that you're going to be fighting. I mean, 2.5 stocks, 2.5 mods. There's other classes, 5 liter as well, or E350, fighting coast to coast, and then you got to meet in the middle. And I mean, that's bringing Decatur back. That is the meet in the middle place. So it's always.
Or you had it like last year, where they couldn't even meet in the middle, and they just went complete opposite sides, straight all the way to Florida.
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
Next up, we got the E99, driven, I believe, owned and driven by Bryce Todd, out on the West Coast.
West Coast Rookie of the Year.
Yep, West Coast Rookie of the Year.
Wow,
had a good year. I believe brought the boat actually east down to Lakeland.
Yes.
At the end of the year, so cool. Another boat that was on kind of drove on both coasts. As we said, rookie, high poi champion as a rookie, obviously a pretty cool feat, and I'm sure we'll see him keep getting faster and faster as as this year goes on and as the coming years. Hopefully, sticks with it. Obviously, pretty good first season, and hopefully that keeps the fire lit and keeps wanting to race.
Yeah,
that's pretty exciting. So boat, so the 350 boat, 2.5 stock and 1 liter, new champions. Or not 2.5 stock, 2.5 mod, new champions. So that's pretty cool. That's
both rookies.
Pretty exciting stuff happening out on the West Coast.
Yeah, I
absolutely
seen Bryce Todd on Facebook. I think he's getting his eyes open on how many paint jobs have been on that boat. He's been saying in and saying.
I saw that.
He's finding more.
I saw that.
Don't we all?
That's boat racing, man. I'm sure there's a few boats out there that got a few relics under the couple layers of paint that are currently on them.
Oh,
Definitely.
For sure.
Next up, we got GNH. This is the GNH 64, I believe, called the Summer Dream, driven by Greg Kreitzer. Sorry, I think Kevin drives it, right?
Kevin drives
Kevin drives it. Greg owns it. Obviously, not a ton of GNH races this year, but I believe they were at every single one that was on the East Coast that I know of. As far as I saw, boat ran great. So it's a interesting looking boat, but it's cool. Obviously, the bright blue's a cool looking paint job, and then you got the wood finish on the decks. And I know they have a great time running that boat. It sounds cool. It looks good on the water.
I just got to say, it definitely is not Greg Kreitzer driving, because I don't think we can get him to keep his shirt on and his overalls on long
He's
enough
not
to drive.
A driving suit on.
Yeah, he's got to be free.
Yeah.
Got to be free.
It's another family that's been in the sport forever. I mean, Joe drove. I think their grandfather drove true. So I think they're 4 generations into it, if I remember correctly. My dad used to race with it.
Awesome. And now they put on the Caesars Creek race.
Yeah, that's awesome. What they give to the sport is impressive. We thank them for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they support a lot of races, and so it is definitely good to have them around. They're definitely a dedicated family, and they try hard. I mean,
they do.
So, I mean, they have the GNH. They bring their 2.5 stock. I mean,
they got 2 GNHs right now, right?
2 GNHs. They wrecked a 2.5 stock at testing last year, then went out and bought Gene DeFalco's S80, and then they turned it into S64. And Kevin's doing good in that. So, some more exciting news, especially for the GNH class. Calvin Phibbs is coming out with the old Too Hot. I think it's Dalton's Destiny now, or Dalton Industries.
Okay.
Not sure which one, but he's coming out with that this year. It's going to be pretty exciting. That is a fast GNH. And whenever Calvin's behind the wheel, it's definitely exciting. That dude knows how to drive. He's been around for years. Unlimited 1-liter mod, GNH 350. If it has a steering wheel and it's been on the water, I'm pretty sure Calvin has been in that class. So, and he's looking for a 350 ride. He wants to get it. He wants to get back in a 350 and show everyone he still has it. He's definitely a good driver, and it's exciting to watch.
He's either going to provide you with a checkered flag or a highlight reel. There is no Englishman like Calvin.
Yeah, right.
No, man. He is. That's a fact. That dude's electric when he's on the water, though.
The Deal Me In picture from Essex years ago, unbelievable. Talk about height record, and I think I was prior to being strapped in, maybe, and he held on to her. on the record, there is no lift. But be pretty interesting if in that class, and if they let him run the Pro Hydro up in HRL. I mean, get Scott Liddycoat out there with the latest and greatest in that class of a composite Jones boat.
Yeah. For sure.
Staldacker. I mean, it might be a really good GNH show. We haven't seen one.
Oh yeah, for sure. I believe the old Too Hot used to be Teddy Dudley's.
Yes.
He used to race that out of Detroit. So that's pretty cool.
All right. Up next, we got the JS10 Yumpin' Yemeni, driven by Jimmy Stewart. I believe owned by Jimmy, and I don't know if Peggy is also part owner. I would assume they're, it's kind of a all in deal with those two. Been racing together for I don't even know how long, my entire life.
Since I think they've been racing, they started the same year I did, 2001, I believe.
So basically
around that. So yeah. They've been in it for a long time. That's one family. We say this about a lot of people, but this family busts their butt. They break down, they're fixing it. Someone else breaks down, whatever they have, they're handing it to the other team to get it on the water. I mean, Jimmy's
Lake Apacon this year, they never stopped with the composites. They're handing out to us 4 other boats, trying to get holes patched, just trying to get boats on the water. That's what they care about.
Brandon's boat blew apart in Detroit, and the next thing you know, you see Jimmy Stewart running over with a big tub of fiberglass and resin. Like, let's fix it. And that was pretty cool. That is definitely one hardworking man. The whole family's really good to have for the sport.
They have 4 skiffs. That's just
if they get
I mean,
into
you got-
they're gonna have to.
It's the Stewart Navy. The Stewart Navy.
You
No,
got
it's-
basically 2 generations all racing. I mean, what is it? 7 or 8 of them all racing or riding at the same time.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you have Abigail, Courtney, Max, Peg, Jimmy, Sam. You know,
I
so
think
it's
you got
Jerry.
Dakota. You got Dakota riding now too.
I can't
Brandon.
keep up with it all.
can't.
I can't keep up with it all.
You got
All I know is after the races, I'm going to play some cornhole with Dallas.
Yep, you got
The
husbands
story
that
about-
bounced into it, and they're now dummies and riding with their significant others.
Oh yeah.
Funny story. Last year at Cambridge.
Yeah.
Funny story. Last year at Cambridge, I believe the APBA Cambridge.
Yep.
They took their pontoon out late at night and invited me on to go out with them. And I mean, 17 people, 16, at least 16 people on that pontoon. I was sitting on the back, on like the cushion in the back, and I looked down and I was like, damn, both pontoons are totally underwater, at least in the back. I don't know how the front looked, but it couldn't have been much better.
And if it was anything like the night before when I went out with him, Jimmy was touching every buoy, so he was running the course.
Oh yeah.
Maybe he doesn't have the hydrosim like we do, and he's practicing his start.
Yeah, that's his practice.
on the pontoon.
Yeah.
Hey, if you can hit your start at night, you can hit it during the day.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
agreed.
Super cool that they got Edgewood. I know Jimmy was a big part in getting that race going last year. That's an awesome, for the guys that can't make Teston 2, that's an awesome shakedown weekend. You got the first HRL event the next weekend, basically right back in the same place. I know we got a couple of the Canadians coming down this year, and it's awesome to see, like the value of that race to the people, at least out on the East Coast and up in Canada, to kind of get that first weekend out there, get their boat shaken down, and
Yeah,
hats off to Jimmy for getting that race going.
Let's try not to have you shake as much down this year. I think you loosened every bolt and nut and that thing and broke.
You shook it
Yeah,
apart.
right? Dude, we dropped the whole starter, man.
Dropped the whole starter.
Yeah, I had my first experience of Uncle G jumping off the boat.
Yep. Yeah, he held the starter in the starter block with a boat pole, and then you got her going, and he jumped off. An incredible feat.
Yeah.
Definitely not the first time I've seen it. First time seeing it happen for me, but not the first time I've seen
If
him
you
do it.
haven't had George Kennedy Jr. jump off your boat, you're not doing it right.
My favorite might
Maybe
be
you are doing
my
it
favorite
right.
might be Hampton, where Tommy Thompson couldn't get the 2.5 mod started, so Dad saw the rescue guy sitting there at the dock, and he's like, "Get on this jet ski, let's go." Went out there with some starter fluid and sprayed it in the injectors, and off Tommy went. And I think he won the nationals that heat. So we could make a whole
Built
podcast of
different.
those stories. And Portsmouth one year,
Oh, yeah.
in my T-boat, same thing, trying to go for the record, and it wouldn't start. He got it jumped, and I looked back, and he was riding it because he didn't want to get wet. It was April in Virginia, and it was cold. So next thing you know, I see him bear hugging the pylon. He said it hurt a little bit, but at least I made him proud and went out and set the record.
Yeah, George, no jumping on boats anymore.
I think we know who created that rule.
Yeah.
Or who caused that rule.
Maybe they could see the content that's available in it, and we'll get rid of it again.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah, there's some
Make
promotional
viral
value in that.
TikToks.
right.
Oh, definitely.
All right, next up. Oh, sorry. So I was not able to pull that up real quick. I was not able to find pictures for our pro stock, Cracker Box, Sportsman Advance, and Sportsman Entry. Not super familiar with those classes, but do want to at least give them their shout out. In the Cracker Box class, we had the P41, the Quacker, owned by Russell Mead. I don't know if do you guys know who drove that boat by chance?
I don't
No.
No? I'll do some more digging. We'll make sure to get a picture and some additional info on drivers in a future episode. Gonna have to dig a little more than the current Facebook reach I got on that one. In the Sportsman Entry class, we had the Catch 22 SE 22, owned by Gary Hansen, and I believe driven by Kip Brown.
Yes. I believe he accepted the award down in Florida this year, so I would like to say so, but I could be totally wrong.
Kip Brown will just drive anything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it tends to be a bow racer thing. You just drive whatever turns left.
I mean, Kip Brown, 5 liter, 350, flat bottom, used to be an unlimited driver. I mean,
2.5 stock.
Yeah, 2.5 stock, all well-rounded driver right there. And he can work on boat. He can do composite work. If you need any boat work out west, go to KB Marine.
Now, if that ain't an advertisement.
And then last one, we got Sportsman Advanced, which is my understanding just a step up from the SE, probably just a little faster, similar boats.
Yep.
We had the SA24 April, I believe owned by Michael Smith. I'm not sure on the driver on that one as well. I'm not sure if you guys know on that one.
Paul Fitzgerald?
Yep, Paul Fitzgerald.
Paul Fitzgerald. Cool.
If you guys, I don't know if you guys ever remember seeing that boat run on the East Coast. I'm sure you've seen it run. It's just all yellow. That
Yeah,
boat,
I guess we saw it at Cambridge this year. Actually, I think
that is one of the best handling flat bottoms I've ever seen run. It is awesome to watch.
It is.
Okay. Yeah, there was. I want to say it was the one. There was an all yellow Sportsman Advance that I believe won every heat at Cambridge this year. So I would imagine it would be that one.
Speaking of flat bottoms, speaking of
in front of me,
no, it's probably not it. But speaking of flat bottoms, there was a flat bottom creeping around. I think Grand Island, New York, in the fall. The Fission, the Catapulvage that Mike Allen used to drive. Why? It's kind of weird that's being seen, but that would be nice if the K-boats come back out and get that going again, because the Fission, that was a awesome boat. You know, you watch Mike Allen and Duff Daly go at it. That was
Incredible.
A pretty cool.
Just cool looking boats, man.
I think you're starting to see a little rumblings in the flat bottom world, all because of Decatur. I mean, they used to come out in waves.
I did see a lot of flat bottom guys posted.
You're gonna see a lot
That's
of
cool.
fast SA boats, and I think there might be a resurgence of a K class there, from what the rumblings I'm hearing. And yeah, it might be one
That would be
you don't
cool.
wanna miss.
That would be real.
See,
Can Mike Allen come out of retirement with the Fission? Let's go.
I don't know. Maybe.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
I think Decatur, is going to be a big event this year. I think the hype around it's been growing pretty steadily for a while now, and obviously we don't want to talk about it too much. We'll let Sean do the talking here once we have him on in a couple weeks. But that's one I'm really excited about this year.
Definitely.
Yeah,
And
that's go ahead.
Last class for APBA inboard, we got GP. This year in GP, the winner, I believe the races for Grand Prix for APBA inboard this year were Guntersville, Madison, Valleyfield, and Tri-Cities. Obviously, we got the GP 79 Bad Influence, owned by Mike Rendell and driven by Jeff Bernard.
This 2 or 3 years in a row?
I think
Three.
I think three.
Yeah, 3.
Man, Grandel, Bernard, save some championships for the rest of them.
GPA championship as well. Obviously, the races are, I think it's just 3 races instead of the 4. Valleyfield not included, but
Yeah.
another championship. Two this year.
Supporting both coast
Series.
West Coast, East Coast, both series. I mean,
Yep.
they're doing it all. I mean, almost won Valleyfield this year. Had
Yep.
a short
There they are.
break. I mean,
They should have won Valleyfield.
you know Mike's amped up, and he's been kicking that one all winter. So
Yeah.
we're gonna see a fierce competition this year. For
Yeah,
sure.
Mike and Jolie definitely have a top-notch Grand Prix running there. It's every weekend. You better watch out, because
Yeah.
that orange boat, if it's not in your mirrors, it's going to be out front. It's quick. So
Yep. It's a great looking boat. Obviously, you got a talented driver behind the
Yep.
wheel. Good engine program, from what I understand, and I mean, the thing's always competitive.
yeah,
It's always got a chance. It's definitely one of those. I'd say probably one of those probably top 5 boats in that GP series that you got to watch out for this year. It's a super competitive class, but this one's definitely earned its stripes to be considered up at the front of that field.
I agree 100%.
Be very fun to see.
A new segment we're gonna be starting here on Chasin Tails is a little Hydro 101. This week we figured we would start out with obviously the GP series coming up between GPA, HRL, 2 different starting procedures, Bob or Brandon, if you guys would like to tell us the difference of those and kind of explain which one GPA HRL series is using or what all that's about.
We're going established lanes. Previous years, it would go off championship points, and that's how you have your lane. But we're doing it a little different this year. Couple drivers got together and decided let's bring back time trials like they used to do back in like the 90s and stuff, because time trials just kick off the weekend with some electric laps. I mean, you go lay down a fast lap in a GP, it is awesome to watch. Even though it's out there by itself. I mean, go to Valleyfield last year, how many boats just were aired out at the end of that front stretch and just slammed in that corner?
The Canada Boy and the 212 are I can't believe they didn't go over backwards.
Scary.
That was wild.
But you go lay down your time, and fastest time trial gets lane 1, and then it stacks out on from there. It's going to be pretty exciting. And then you invert it the second heat, right?
Yeah. So
you invert it the second heat.
Time trials will start out the top 3 boats will get lane 1 in their respective heats if there's 3 qualifiers, which should be more than 3, I don't think. Then second, so on from there for lanes 4th, 5, 6 should be lane 2. Then you invert it, and then the third heat, whoever has the most points is actually on the outside of their heat. And this year, the change in HRL, so it'll switch over to the GPA series as well, is it's full points. It used to be only 15 points because you're kind of hurting the guy that's been doing well all weekend, but that heat seemed to change a lot of things in GP especially. If you broke down, it didn't mean as much in that heat. So now it's full points, so you're going to have to be on your game on that outside if you have number 1 points going into Sunday.
That just brings back the point that every heat matters. You're going to have to push every heat. It doesn't matter. That third heat, before it was worth less points. So, you got a bad start. It didn't really matter. It's worth less points. But now it's full points. So that guy who's on your inside, who's nipping at your tail to take that inside lane in the final, you're going to have to push to try to beat him. So it's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, this is going to
is that change? Oh, God.
This is going to affect the smaller classes too, and probably even more so for you guys in 2.5 stocks, Formula 2500, H350 up in HRL. Is that it's hard to win from the outside in those classes as it is in the GP. So that's why a lot of the guys fought it, because you shouldn't be disadvantaging the guy that's number 1. But what happens is it's going to create one epic final. That guy might get 3rd place in that third heat, and now it's full points, so that might move him from lane 1 to lane 2 or 3 in that final. And even if he's the fastest guy, he's going to have his work cut out for him in that final.
For sure.
I think it adds maybe even an unnecessary, not in the sense that it shouldn't be added, but like I feel like drivers will put more pressure on themselves going into that third qualifier now with that full points. If you're in first, you're starting on the outside and you only got a guy 4 3 points behind you. Like, you can't rely on finishing third and that being good enough, because he's in the other heat. He could go drop a first from the outside, and now you got work to do. And I think it's going to cause mistakes from drivers, but I also think you're going to see some epic, kind of weekend comeback stories. And like you said, I think it's just going to close the points up, and then it's going to make those final heat draws, and then those finals are just going to be so much more epic.
For sure. But then you flip side to the.
So how does that?
Go ahead.
Yep.
So
I was going to say, how does that compare to the other option?
Yeah, so you flip side to the APBA inboard, and it gets a little more exciting. A lot of people say that's the way to do it, because it's the drivers and you put them in position, but we don't do established lanes in APBA inboard. It's all fighting for lanes. Establishment buoys at the exit pin coming up for the start. There's usually a place on the backstretch or in the turn, depending on the referee, of a time. So say it's 40 seconds. You hit that at 40 seconds, you can't cross in front of it, and then you race down the turn 2, and you could try to get 4 boat lengths and cut the guy off in front of you to get the inside lane, or some people like to try to sneak inside the course if the referee's not watching. And it's a game. It's a race before the race, like never before. I mean, the guys that are good at it, they're good at it, and then the guys that aren't.
They say that with fighting for lanes, it's the race before the race, and that leaving the pits, sometimes it comes down to how you leave the pits to get on the course. If you want to get the inside or not, it's pretty intense, that whole 5 minutes before the start.
Yeah, there's been times
it opens it up to a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, there's been times at Hampton where the race before the race started at the crane, who gets the far crane, who gets the crane closest to the race course, because you got the inside already, and you race out to the course and you park.
The fighting for lanes definitely brings a lot more of the mental, the mind games, the little tricks into play than the established lanes. But they both have their perks. I think if you understand the fighting for lanes format, it's really fun to watch. I mean, the Unlimiteds run that obviously in a little bit different rules with the 80-mile-an-hour rule, but I think it's fun to watch if you do understand it. I think that the downside is it can be hard to understand if you don't have somebody to sit there and explain it to you. And obviously it has its downfalls with the speed at the start sometimes, but like I said, I think both the assigned lanes and the fighting for lanes have their benefits, and I think they both make for great racing.
Yeah, it's always a fight, especially between us racers. I mean, this one's better, but at the end of the day, it's all about the fans, and certain places want to see different things. I mean, H1 people love to see fighting for lanes. They don't want to sign lanes because it doesn't work in that series. So you got to do what works for your series and in your environment.
Yeah, and I believe there is still, you can still play little games before the start with fighting for lanes.
Absolutely.
There's little things that you can do. We don't need to elaborate on that.
With the sign lanes, you mean?
With the sign lanes, that's what I meant. You can still mess with people. There's still a little strategy you can play into that. Like I said, it all comes down to a mental game. It doesn't matter before the flag drops. It's all a mental game. Rather, it's fighting for lanes. You just got to be on your game all the time if you want to try to come out on top.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so those are fans that are unsure of what we're talking about time-wise. We always, no matter where we're racing, HRL, APBA, GPA, it's a 5-minute countdown clock. And we warm up for 4 minutes and 59 seconds, and we try to hit that start-finish line at 0 with no time left and as close as we can be to it. So there is no starting from the beach like some other things do. There's no pace boat start. It's all on a clock. So that's where it comes down to driver. And like we talked about earlier, practice. I mean, it's really hard to practice starts, especially in GP when you're traveling 120, 130 mile an hour when you start. So it all comes down to your timing marks. We take them in the warm-up. We take them in testing. And that's how we get to the start first.
Sometimes we take those marks from Hydro Sim too.
Whatever works.
All right,
I think when Ronnie he said, "You got your timing mark from what?"
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that was pretty cool. Go down there, get 2 heat wins, and then lane 1 in the final. And unfortunately, our cracked oil pan just didn't let us finish the race. But it was fixing to be a really good race with Jack Lupton in lane 2. Yep. So, but let's see if we can go down there and try to do it again this year. Back in the Bergeron, I'm excited.
It's gonna be fun. That boat's fast. Obviously, we get some handle on the flightiness, and I think that boat could surprise some people this year.
Well, we made some changes. Brandon had an idea to take off the bull noses and try to take some less air out from under it and see if I can keep my foot in it. Because if you watch that video, I'm burping it all the way down each straightaway.
Oh yeah.
But
that's
going to change hopefully.
Ed did mention today. He said it's very weird to hear Bobby say he's struggling to keep a boat on the water. That's normally not something he says.
Yeah, right.
Normally, all he says back to you on the radio is "baka baka baka."
Baka baka.
I remember Ed would sit there and talk to me on the radio and say something. I'm just like baka 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 baka.
Now, mind
And then if you had-
when you were driving the T-boat, so you had lots of baka.
And then if you're on the radio with Mike Randell, you just reach up and unplug that thing.
Oh, you mean when you're on radios with you?
Yeah, I was about to say when you're on radio.
I guess I'm not that great on the radios. You're my little brothers. I was nervous.
I don't think many drivers are.
Still got unplugged.
No.
It's very. Few.
It's so funny that the difference between Bob and my dad doing the radios is like as far of a difference as you can get. I got my dad
ADHD, OCD.
telling me there might be a red flag because there's a boat in the water, and I got Bob trying to race the boat for me from the tower in Valleyfield. I mean, it was.
He just forgot to use the thing.
Looking back on it, it's so funny.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's. I mean, you're my little brothers. I get nervous and I get amped up because you know I want to be out there driving, but you guys are out there driving, so it's definitely different. And there's a reason why why I got my dad on the radios for me too, because he's calm. He keeps me calm. Like,
right.
No, and if he's getting amped up, you better be doing something.
Yeah.
As Big Billy always said, he's the anger management specialist.
Right? Definitely.
Does good at it.
Yeah, I can't do radios. I'm not good at it either. I fired myself after Carson got schooled in Valleyfield. I didn't tell her somebody was coming inside and lost her that final. So that was about it for me. I'm done. I'll just
Doghouse. Doghouse.
I don't know if she still thinks about it, but I sure as heck do.
Your own doghouse.
Yeah.
That was fun. It was fun doing radios for Bob in Guntersville. That was, I think, the first time I ever did radios, which is funny. I don't know. I should have been doing GP radios first time I ever did it, but you know, I think I did all right. But then getting to do radios for Austin this year, having him getting to do radios for me was cool. Just getting that different perspective, because I know when I like Bob, when I'm doing radios for Austin, I'm fired up. I'm trying to tell him what to do because I'm like having flashbacks to the last heat when I was in the boat, and it's like this is what I was doing.
And you have that knowledge already. I mean, even I will say, Bob, as much as we dog on you for it, you did have ample knowledge of last year's boat. You drove that boat for years, and you could tell us stuff that the boat was going to do that nobody else would know.
Yeah.
And having, especially me and him, going heat to heat, back and forth, being each other's radios, just knowing where stuff's going to happen, what's going to happen to this, being able to call that out for each other was, I think, a big difference in us learning and getting comfortable like we did.
For sure.
Yeah, don't expect out this new boat. That's going to be a new beast.
Yeah.
It's going to be different. It's all right. I think me and Brandon are going to have to drive it at least once just to see how it is.
Why you think we're working so hard to get it ready? I'm going to dump it in the river without anybody knowing. That's why I don't want it.
Don't pull a Scott Liddy coat, go out there and flip it, testing it brand new.
So hopefully not.
Rip the sponson off like Kreitzer.
Yeah.
Which boat did he do that in?
I believe, I want to say, didn't Liddy coat do that in Alexis Weber's?
I think
boat?
so. I think I heard
Yeah.
stories, whether they were true or not. You can't always tell if Scott's stories are true or not, but they are entertaining.
What you got?
Special boats, special skiffs, special racers. Let's go, brother.
That's it for Chasing
All right.
Tails.